Hi, welcome to Open Hand Farm. My name is Penny and I am so glad you're here. I don't know if you are familiar with the Pantry Challenge put on by Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead, but every January and February she encourages people to eat only from their pantries, larders, freezers, whatever you have on hand. I have done that for 2 or 3 years now, 2 for sure, but 2 years ago, I only did January, not February. For the true challenge of January and February, we did that last year. I'll leave a card here with that playlist in case you want to see what we did and how much we ended up spending on groceries through those 2 months. We are preparing to start that challenge again in just a few weeks. So I had some items that I wanted to address before I started that challenge. So I thought I would share with you the things I am doing to prepare to embark on the Pantry Challenge of 2025. I have 5 items that I like to share with you. So let's go into my larder and I'll show you what the first item is. Last year for the Pantry Challenge, I had canned items and some produce items on these 2 shelves. This year, we added this shelf. We had this shelf last year, but it did not have canned goods on it. Instead, it had produce. So it had pumpkins and squashes and things like that, which we do still have some items like that down here. But we also, as you can see, have filled these shelves with canned goods as well. If you would like to know what all I have in my larder, I have a video and I'll leave a card here and a link in the description box in case you want to check it out. In order to fill those shelves, I participated in Jessica's challenge that she does in August called the Every Bit Counts Challenge. And that is where every day in the month of August, you preserve something. It doesn't matter how much, you just preserve. And as far as the preserving goes, you can ferment, can, freeze dry, or dehydrate, or any other way that you can think of to preserve something. So the whole month of August, I preserved something every day. And something that really helped me be able to do that was using my electric canner that I bought at the end of the season last year. I knew that it would come in so handy this year during the Every Bit Counts Challenge. That meant I could just put something in the canner, push the buttons, and walk away, and it would do the canning and cool down and everything on its own, and I didn't have to sit there and babysit it. So I was able to fill most of those shelves in my larder by using my electric canner as well as my stovetop canner. If you want to see what I preserved through the month of August, I'll leave a card here with my Every Bit Counts Challenge playlist and a link in the description box. Last month, I had a few more things that I needed to preserve that I had on hand and I didn't want it to go bad. So I borrowed a canner from my friend who was going out of town. She too has the Presto electric canner, and I am not getting any money for saying this. It's just something that I love and appreciate so much. So my friend loaned me hers, so I had 2 canners going at the same time, and it was wonderful. And then the canner went on sale, so I bought my own second canner, which I had been wanting to do over the past year because it's so helpful. So that helped me do another huge batch of canned items that I could add to my shelves. And the next thing we did was to go through our freezer and our pantry to see what items we have on hand. The last couple years, we have bought a whole hog from a friend and had it butchered and filled our freezers with it. This year, that did not happen. So I was a little concerned that we didn't have much meat left in our freezer. So we went through it and decided that we have plenty to start the winter with. But the only thing we didn't have any of was chicken. And I don't know about you, but I have felt like the chicken I buy at the grocery store is just not good. I feel like there's no taste to it and it kind of has a rubbery texture. So we decided to go on a quest for the perfect chicken at butcher shops around us. And we did find what we think is a really good chicken, and we'll probably go get some and put in our freezer before the month is up. That way we'll have some chickens on hand as well. As we went through the freezer, I recorded all the items that we have, so I now have a list to put in the kitchen to know what is available to me when I'm trying to do meal planning for the next 2 months. The fourth thing I have been doing this year to prepare for the challenge is when I am looking at Instagram or Reels on Facebook and I see a recipe that I like and we have all of the ingredients for on hand already, I save it under the title Pantry Challenge. That way, when it's time for the challenge, I can just go through and search there and see all of these recipe options that I have to try something new and different through that time. That's really exciting because a lot of times in the Pantry Challenge, you end up with several jars of the same item and you get tired of using them the same way. And you as a viewer get tired of watching us use them in the same way. So this will hopefully keep me on my toes and keep you seeing something new and different throughout the months as I am doing the Pantry Challenge. But I have to tell you that I have had an overarching theme or idea to go along with this challenge this year that I did not have last year. Last year, I kept thinking, I need to stock up on this item and this item so that I have enough when I'm doing the challenge in January and February. Or during the Every Bit Counts challenge, I would go buy items to can them to put them on the shelf. I do have some items that are stocked up on, but those are items that I always stock up on, like flour and beans and oats and stuff like that, because I like to have those in case we have a period of time where we can't get out or can't go to the store. So I just like to have items stocked up in our larder, but they weren't bought specifically for stocking up for January and February. This overarching idea that I have only applies to me. So I don't want to step on toes if there are people who do make huge Azure orders or buy lots of stuff from Costco or whatever to prepare to only eat from the larder or the pantry or the freezer during January or February. But this is what I thought of this year in August when I was canning and preserving for the Every Bit Counts challenge. I thought to myself, if I go buy items right now and can them and put them on the shelf to be used in January and February, that means that I am spending extra money. I'm just not doing it in January and February. I'm doing it in August instead. So my challenge to myself this year was to can and preserve things that I either got from friends or from bartering or grew in my garden or did have on hand as a common thing that I stock up on, like beans. So I canned several kinds of beans this year. I canned meat that we had in our freezer that I really wanted to try to empty some things out of the freezer in case something were to happen and we lost electricity. I would feel better knowing that I wasn't going to lose all of the meat that we had in there. I also tried preserving vegetables that we had in there or fruit. So throughout August, instead of buying items to preserve, I just used what I had here on hand or out of my garden so that I did not spend extra money. Now, did I spend some extra money? Yes, I did. Like if I were making salsa and my cilantro had already bolted and I couldn't have it, I would buy some from the store. I would buy little things that would go with the items that I had grown in order to preserve them. So I think I figured up through the month of August that I spent about $50 to buy things to preserve. But I am not going to apply that to the January and February pantry challenge because those were items that we will use throughout the whole year and have already used some of. It was just something that had to be done in order to preserve the food I had. So my goal through January and February are to use the items in my pantry, larder, freezer, and try really, really hard not to go to the store. I will not place Azure orders in January or February unless I absolutely need to, because that too is like going to the grocery store. I did just place an Azure order for December, and I did buy a lot of flour. But that's something I always have on hand, and I had let it get kind of low. So I had buckets that I needed to refill with my flour like I do year round. Now the one place that I will spend money if necessary is for greens and for fruit, because those are things that I can't grow fresh in the wintertime. Although the last item of ways that I am preparing for the pantry challenge includes a way for me to have greens throughout those 2 months without buying them. Last year for the pantry challenge, I sprouted some lentil sprouts and some broccoli sprouts, and I used those like on tacos or something like that, and that was good, and it gave me some good green nutrition. But a couple of months ago, I was introduced to microgreens. I had never had them. A friend of mine was given some, quite a few, and she asked if I would like some, and I said, sure, I'll give them a try. I fell in love with them. Let me tell you the difference between a microgreen and a sprout. So a sprout, you put the seeds in a jar, you put water on them, you let them soak. Then you pour that water off, rinse them, and then every day you rinse them twice a day and turn them over and let them sprout. Then when they get to the length of sprout that you want, you just put them in the fridge and you eat them. Microgreens, on the other hand, are where you plant the seed and it starts a plant, just like if you were sprouting a plant to put in the garden. It sprouts and then it grows, and when it gets to about 3 or 4 inches for most of them, you cut them off and you eat them. They are so good. My favorites were peas, sunflowers, and arugula. So This month I have been experimenting and trying to learn, and I have to tell you, there is a learning curve. But I have been trying to learn and sprout my own microgreens. So let me show you what I have. So this is my growing light box. Let me open it up here. And you will see my arugula. The arugula doesn't get as tall as the other microgreens, so it's about ready to cut. I have peas and sunflowers, and see how they're starting to get their true leaves. That means that they're going to be ready to cut soon. But I have to tell you that these did not do as well as I would like them to. So I have been researching more. I bought some new seeds, and I already have them soaking and going to plant and do another round to see if I can do a better job. So I am really excited about having microgreens to work with this January and February. Thank you so much for coming along today. And if you are new to Open Hand Farm, please consider subscribing and please push that bell so that when I have a new video up, you will know right away. If you are here and you follow along on the Pantry Challenge, then please come along with me. I would love to have you. Until next time, blessings on you and yours.